Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, and we've had a little bit of fun trying to get this video, the first in the members only series, happening. So we're happy that you're here. I'm particularly happy that you're here. And so we're going to be talking about gaslighting, and I've done several videos on gaslighting, and so you can go and find those by just staying on the channel and putting gaslighting in the search. But I wanted to do something further for you today as members only content, and that is to go more deeply into this idea of gaslighting. And gaslighting occurs when somebody is telling you what or how to think or feel, or what you remember, or what you prefer, or they're pretty much trying to define your reality for you, which they don't have the right to do, of course. Nobody has the right to do that, but they're trying to define your reality for you. And hijackals do it all the time. So they want to be the author of you. They want to tell you what you think, what you feel, what you need, what you want, what you prefer, what you remember. So gaslighting is about manipulating you by psychological means, and with the purpose of causing you to second guess yourself and question your sanity. And my work is all about helping you with that problem. In fact, those two problems of second guessing yourself and then questioning your sanity. And gaslighting is a really big deal that hijackals do. And remember, hijackals is my trademark term for people who hijack relationships for their own needs and purposes, and then relentlessly scavenge them for power, status, and control. So if you have a hijackal in your life, you will certainly know it. And if you're a member of my channel, which you are because you're getting this exclusive content, you will have listened to other broadcasts. You will know that you are, in fact, suffering in a hijackal relationship. So gaslighting occurs when an abuser, yes, an abuser, don't tread lightly around that term. People who are emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, physically abusive, financially abusive, spiritually abusive, or sexually abusive, all abusers. And it really is helpful for you to actually be able to say, this person is an abuser. It helps you get that into your head that I am not going to make excuses and enable this person any longer. And there are videos on enabling you can also have a look at, so I won't go into that today. But really understand that when you are with a hijackal, a person with these traits, they are going to use gaslighting in some form and to some degree. And gaslighting occurs when an abuser tries to twist or warp or define your reality and be adamant about their being right about what's going on in your head. Now, that's just crazy making right there, isn't it? Gaslighting causes you to say, what? Why do you think that? That's not true. But what kind of pattern have you gotten into with people who are gaslighting you? So I want to help you know today how to respond. So a gaslighter does or says something abusive, and then they deny ever saying or doing it. Are you familiar with that? Because if you're with a hijackal, you'll surely be familiar with that. So they want to win in the moment. What's really important to a hijackal is to win in the moment. So they will say or do anything to win in the moment. And then when you say to them, well, you did this, they'll say, no, I didn't. So they will deny your reality. They're very self-protective, as you've noticed, and they will deny your reality and tell you, no, you're crazy. You don't listen very well. You don't understand. You're useless, and a whole lot of other negative things. So a hijackal will make promises, the kind of crush your heart and hope to die kind of promises. And then they'll say to you, I never promised that. That's gaslighting, crazy making. So it's also that little bit of that promising things. That's also related to a topic I've covered in a video called future faking. They want to engage you in the idea that something good that you want is going to happen or is being promised. And then when it doesn't come to fruition, they say they never promised it. But they future fake in order to engage you in the idea that this something good is going to happen. Promise, promise, promise. They don't have any intention of doing it, but it gets you off their back for a bit. And that's related to the gaslighting. Or they will try to convince you that you're too sensitive, or the other one is you lack a sense of humor. So they make a harsh comment to you and you say, ouch, that's not very nice. And they say, oh, you're too sensitive. So they're defining you as too sensitive, not taking responsibility for the remark, but defining you as too sensitive. Are you familiar with that? Probably. And the other one of that is when they've said this rude or down-putting thing to you and you say, ouch, they say, oh, you should know I'm just kidding. And of course, they'll definitely say that one in front of other people. It always comes back to you. Gaslighting is an effort to tell you who they want to say you are and get you to believe that it's true. One of the big ways to counteract gaslighting is to go into your head. And I'm going to talk about it toward the end of this video. Go into your head and say, what do I know about myself? This is not true. I actually did hear those words. I did hear the tone of voice. I did see the look on their face. And I know that they intended the hurt. So no matter what they say about I'm too sensitive or they were just kidding, I know what's real. And that's gaslighting. It's a form of emotional abuse, for sure. So if these things are familiar to you, start thinking about this person as an abuser. That's a big step. When you stop making rationalizations and justifications for their behavior or joining in with their future faking, pretending that, oh, this time it'll be different, you know better. You know better. And they are absolutely dedicated to this gaslighting because they need to win. They need to be the one who knows. They need to be the one who's right. They need to be the one who's on top. So they do it a lot. And it's important to see it. It's nasty. It's manipulative. So many words that are so awful go into the category of gaslighting. So it's emotional abuse. And what else will they do? They will tell you that you're not good enough. Good enough for what? Good enough to be manipulated by them? That's really what the very crooked and circular way they're thinking demonstrates, because they tell you you're not good enough for them, but they will put up with you because they're so kind. Nobody else would. And they'll tell you that no one will ever love you but them. And that's all gaslighting. It's an attempt to create control. It's an attempt to make you feel fearful. It's an attempt to make you feel obligated because they will put up with you. And it's an attempt to make you feel guilty, like you should be some other human. We need to step back. And even though we're hurt and even though we're tired and we're fearful, we need to step back and get a broader view and say, these tactics are gaslighting, and it is in no way okay with me. Hijackals will be passive aggressive, terribly passive aggressive, and they will do what I call faux apologies. I did a whole video on that. You can search for that, but they will say anything to get you off their back. An apology is only an apology when the behavior that they're apologizing for demonstrates sustained change. That's when you actually have an apology. But what hijackals offer you are appeasements. I will try to make nice in this moment so that I don't have to deal with the conflict that I'm creating. So they will gaslight you. And then they will say these inane, horrible statements of gaslighting. You will say something about their behavior that you don't like, and they take no ownership for it. But they say something like, I'm sorry you feel that way. What? You're sorry I feel the way I do? What about you? What about you in this equation? You notice how they leave themselves out of the equation, totally out of the equation? That can be really crazy making, or they'll say, I'm sorry you feel hurt by my words. Like your hurt is your fault. It's amazing when you start stepping back and looking at these things because they are so clear. They are so clearly gaslighting. They are endeavoring to define your reality for you. No, 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 absolutely no. I'm not going to allow you to do that. You're not going to cloud my thinking. You're no longer going to make it feel like, oh, maybe you didn't mean it. No, you've observed it so many times. You know it's a pattern. You know it's a tactic. You know it's a strategy. And you know it's manipulation. Allow yourself to say that. Not out loud to the hijackal. I'll tell you why in a moment. But allow yourself to say to yourself, yes, I am being gaslighted. Yes, I am being put down. Yes, I am being emotionally abused. Here's the sort of mother of all passive aggressive things they say when they don't want to take responsibility. I'm sorry you think I hurt you. How many times removed from the actuality is that? I'm sorry that you think I hurt you. Are you beginning to see how those small words need to have a really good examination? It's so important because you may be letting them off the hook all the time. And you know what that means? It means that you are enabling the behavior and you need to stop. Because my definition of enabling is when you usually or often step in to solve or fix or justify or rationalize or make the consequences go away for the poor choices of another person. And if you get into that place of enabling them, which you very well may be because you're tired, you're run down, you're torn down, you're put down, and you're exhausted by it emotionally, you may start to believe what they're saying. And if you start to believe what they're saying, I'm glad you're listening to this video. So another thing that hijackals want to do that is part of gaslighting is they twist facts so they don't look bad. They will change the narrative, warp the story so that they always look like the hero if they possibly can, but you always look like the terrible one. So they'll say things to you like, well, you should have known better. Known better than believe my lies? Yeah, that's exactly what they mean. But if you said that they lied, they will tell you then that you're stupid. So it's a downward cycle, no matter which way that spiral runs. They'll say things like, again, you're sensitive or you're thoughtless or you only think about yourself. Now that's projection. And I did a video on that. So just put projection and you'll find it. So they want to shift all blame to you and shift their conversation to say, you did all these things when usually they did those things. And that's projection. Another thing that they will do is deny your version of things. They will tell you you don't remember things accurately, or you got that all wrong, or I don't know what drug you were on. If they laugh and say, I don't know how drunk you were, but here's what you said. And they insist that they're right. And they refuse to consider facts or another person's perspective. And that all falls in the category of gaslighting. So you see, the things that I talked about in an earlier video on healthy ways to respond to gaslighting, you need to know these underlying pieces, which is why I make this members only content. So if you know people who are already subscribers to my channel and you think that they would like this monthly video series and also some other perks that are randomly put into for members only, invite them to become a member. It's only $4.99 a month. And there is members only content, and that's what you want. So let's go back to hijackals and gaslighting. They like to create alternative facts, and the facts are in quotes for sure, because they insist they're right. So therefore, they need to create the facts to back up that they're right. And those facts, they don't exist. It's just a figment of their imagination. And it's something that is a face saving, is a cover up, but they do those things. I would imagine that if you've been with a hijackal or were raised by one, you're sitting there with your mental checklist, just, yeah, that and that and that and that. And that's where you need that perspective to step back and say, all these things are gaslighting. And when I'm with a hijackal, I am being emotionally abused, if not abused in other ways. So it's gaslighting. How to know? Well, here's some other ideas. If you find yourself always on the defensive, that's one way. If you feel like you always have to apologize, that's another way, even for things you didn't do. If you get the silent treatment often, that's important to notice. If you're living with constant chronic anxiety, you may be second guessing your reality all the time. And if you believe you're to blame when things go wrong, you may have become so used to gaslighting that you accept it. Or if you become hypervigilant. So I'm just going to give you a few general things to know about how to respond. Think about it internally first. Don't just blurt out something. Don't tell them they're wrong. Think about it. I need to observe their gaslighting. I don't need to tell them that. I need to realize that for myself. Then I need to refocus on the personal weather report. If you don't know that technique of mine, again, do a search on personal weather report. Using that will keep the conversation healthier. Don't bother to refute or argue with the hijackal. That only leads to more gaslighting. Continuously affirm yourself. I know what's real. I know what I remember. I know what I felt, and these are all accurate. Check in with other people. They were there. How did they see it? And most of all, consider getting help, because when you've been in this situation for a long time, then you slowly begin to not respond, and it takes you in a downward cycle. And if you want my help, go to beaclient.com. And for new clients there, I have a 1-hour opportunity for only $97. I hope you found this helpful. You can go to my website for FOR relationship help, HELP.com, same name as this channel. And you can see my membership program. You can see how to work with me. You can take the free checklist. So much is there for you. So I sincerely hope that you will consider doing this and that you will join me at some point and become a member. Come and talk to me. Let's solve the problems. Let's clearly see what's going on, and let's make decisions that are healthier for you. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. I'm glad you're here. And until we speak again, remember, you matter. You're precious, and behave accordingly. Talk soon.